in order for Google to work in Schoology and for your students to be able to access the things that you post for them, their Google assignments and everything else, logging into Chrome is critical. You must be logged into Chrome with your FCPS account. So must the students. In the agenda, there's a link to how to log into Chrome. You can take a look at that. But that's a critical component. When it doesn't work for students, it's often because they're not signed into Chrome with their FCPS account. They're on a home computer under mom's Google account or not logged in at all, and that will be a problem. They need to be logged into Chrome in order for them to access everything they need to access. A couple setup things. There's two integrations with Google into Schoology. One is the Google Drive resource app. So under resources, you have apps and Google Drive resource app. And that is a direct connection to your Google Drive. Once that pops up, there it is. And we do this automatically. That's set up for every staff member, every student. This is, like I said, it's a direct connection to your drive. So you can actually, if I delete something from here, it's not deleted from Schoology, it's deleted from your Google Drive. So be aware that this is a live connection that you can make changes to your drive from here. And there's no, even though we have your drive connected into Schoology, you're the only one who can access it. It only appears for you when you're signed into Chrome. No one else can get to your materials unless you share it with them. So no concerns about, because it's in Schoology, can everybody get to it? No, they can't. It's just your drive when you are signed in as you. The other connection is, if I go back to the course, is when you add, when you want to distribute Google Docs to all of your students. So you can do add assignment, and right here, Google Drive assignments, if I click on that, this is a separate integration that Schoology has done. And you get an allow button the first time in, click allow, and again, you have a connection to your drive. But this is purely for the purpose of distributing documents to your students and setting up a workflow for them to turn in the documents and you to grade them and all that. We'll look at that in a little bit. A couple of things on setup. I would advise having the Schoology troubleshooting guide handy. Let me pull it open here for a second. In there, we have all the directions that students would need in order to resolve any issues they're having with their accounts. First we're covering how to log into Chrome, that they must do that in order for it to work to get to their Google assignments. And then down here, a whole section on the different error messages that you might get when trying to view a Google Doc in Schoology and how to resolve that. So I'm going to show you a few of these today. We're going to intentionally cause some of these errors, but this is how they would fix the issue. And sometimes you need to fix the issue yourself, and we'll look at that one specifically a little later. So good idea to have that document handy for yourselves. Maybe even post it in your class initially at the beginning of the school year. I also want to point out there's in the agenda, there's the link or the code for the Schoology Essentials course. Some of what we're covering here is in that course. The basics, we're covering a lot more today, but the basics of what we're covering today are in that course. So join that course if you want to have access to that information. All right. One other thing I'd advise, and this is a little tip, I guess, is, let me go to a new tab here, is to make a document where you store things that you use in Schoology, store graphics and other setup things you might use in Schoology. I'll show you how to use this a little later on. But by having this, you can just quickly, let's say I'm back in I'll just copy this image, for example. And if I go back to my class, I'm adding a folder. I can just quickly paste that image in. I don't have to go insert content, image, from the web or wherever else and find or attach file. I can just copy paste it right into, in this case, a folder description, or you could be pasting into another doc or something else. But having that handy, or having that available, is a handy way to quickly reproduce things that you use often in Schoology. So here's another one where I know teachers sometimes want to put in, oops, here, and then the student's answer go in this line. And to set that up on a document takes a little bit of doing with tables, but if you just set it up once, then you can just copy the whole thing and paste it into a Google Doc later on that you use in Schoology. These kind of things come in handy for making making it easy for you to quickly get things done. All right, let's get rid of that for here. All right, so first we're going to look at not Google assignments, but everything else, and then we'll get to Google assignments in a little bit. So first thing is adding a Google Doc. So I'm going to show you a few different ways that can be added. And let me get to, I'll open up the agenda, I guess. So let's say I want to post this document in the course. So simplest way is copy the link and paste it in. So you have to make sure first that it's shared. Normally I would say make sure this is shared with anyone with a link, because anything you post in your class, you want parents to be able to access as well. So instead of saying anyone at FCPS, I would change that to anyone with a link. All right, but we'll copy that and go back to the course. So if I want to add that item to my course, I could say add materials, add link, paste in the URL, see what I get for a title here. Not a good one, but title it, and then just add that. And I now have a link to that document here. So I click on that. That will open up right within Schoology. Now, if you ever load something that doesn't, or add a link that doesn't appear here, you want to make that so it appears in a new window. But Google Docs should always show fine within Schoology. All right, a couple other ways you can add that. I could say add materials, import from resources. So let's say I didn't have the document already open. In this case, I already had it open. Let's say I didn't. I could go to add materials, import from resources, and now we're going to use the Google Drive resource app. So apps, Google Drive resource app, and I would search for it, or I could, if I knew where it was, I know that it's in here, for example, I can just find it. The documents are not in a really friendly order. It's kind of the most recent documents are up top. So you can often find them that way, but searching is usually the easiest way to find the docs that you need on this window. But I know I already had it here, so I'll hit that. And now you have some options here. I can say import file, and what that does is it makes like a PDF-like version of the document. It takes a snapshot of it basically, and a point-in-time snapshot, and puts that into, do that right now, puts that into Schoology. That it's like a Word doc. If I wanted to download it, it would download as a Word doc. But that shows up in Schoology's viewer, document viewer. So it's a non-editable version of it. All right, so that's one way. Other way, let's do the same thing again. Add materials, import from resources. And I'll add it again, but this time you have import link and import private link. So import link automatically shares the document with anyone with a link. So rather than you having to worry about sharing it manually yourself, just using import link does the sharing for you automatically. So I'll click on that. That shares a document and puts it in here as a link. Now it says docx. A little tip here: if you edit that and get rid of that .docx at the end, say save changes, you get the little Google icon here to show that it's a Google Doc. All right, so this is just a link out to a separate page that they can view the doc on. So it's not, doesn't show within Schoology like the link does, like this link does. All right, this showed within Schoology, keeps them all in the same place. And then the other option was import private link. And that's the same as this one, except it does not change the sharing settings. It leaves the sharing settings alone. So normally you would, I don't know why you would use that, but normally you would say import link. It'll share the doc and put it in Schoology all at the same time. So that's kind of the method I tend to use the most. But this is probably my other choice when I already have the doc open. All right, let's say you have a document that you want students to be able to collaborate on, right? So you want them to be able to, maybe they're a spreadsheet where you want them to add lab data, or a Google slideshow that they're each going to create a slide in the slideshow and have their own slide that they work on. So it's a class document that they all need to access and edit. How would you handle that? Well, in that case, you do the same thing. But you would just share it. You would share it with anyone in FCPS initially. Can edit. Anyone in FCPS can edit. So these sharing settings here, instead of anyone with a link, you wouldn't want parents to be able to edit it. So in this case, you would say, I would here say FCPS, not anyone with a link. I guess I have both of these on somehow, but I would have just FCPS. That way, my students could edit the document, and I would just copy the link and then use the. I guess in that case, you wouldn't use. I just thought about that. You wouldn't use import link. You'd use import private link. That would leave the sharing settings alone. Leave it as anyone in FCPS can edit it, and that way your students could add information to the document. All right. So another way to add information here is, let's see how we can put it into a page or an assignment. In an assignment, you have your description area, right? I'll do a page for now because it's the same idea, a little simpler though. So a page, you have your description area as well. So I would go there. And then if I want to add a document into here, I could either put a link to a document or embed the doc entirely. So to do that, you would say insert content, Google Drive resource app. Find the file you want. All right, and then you have the same options as before: import link, import private link. This would just put a link in your page. But I'll say import embed, and what that does is it puts the actual document right on this page. So I can have some information here, and my embedded document is in the page. I can change the size of that. So let me just create that first, show you what that looks like. So here's the embedded Google Doc. You can put a slideshow, spreadsheet, Google Drawing, or the other ones you can embed. And this is too small. I can change the settings on that. So edit page. And if you click on this yellow box, you can hit the image icon and then change the size to 800, usually a good width in Schoology. That'll auto resize if you have this checked. And then insert that, save, and now it's a little bit better look at that. All right, so that's how to embed a Google Doc. Now, the one other way you can add a Google Doc is to actually have it as an attachment. So instead of having it within the, let me edit this, within the page itself, I can add it as an attachment. So I go down here to the resource tab, resources, apps, Google Drive resources, resource app, and I'll go in here again and grab that same one. And different ways you can do this, but if you say import file, the main link to the document that shows at the bottom of the page is going to be a download link. So I tend to not use that one. Import link is normally the way to go. So if I click that one and save that, when you do it as an attachment, that appears nowhere. Oh, actually appeared up top in this case. Interesting. So yeah, I don't use that one, but that is another way to do it. I thought it would appear down bottom. I thought I tested that earlier, but anyway, that one seemed to appear up top. But anyway, attachments is another way you can add documents to your materials. All right, let's look at Google Slides. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do Google Slides. One way is the same as we just looked at, and another way is a way that shows automatically in present mode for students. So let's look at the two ways here. Let me go back to the Materials tab. I'm going to add, let me open up this presentation first. Really what I want to do is get a shareable link to it. So I can just right click and say get shareable link. It's already shared with anyone, so I can just copy that link. Hit done. I'll come back to my course and I'm going to add a link. And I'll just paste that in and get a title here. There we go. And add that. This is how people normally add Google Slides. And if I open that, here's how it looks. It shows within Schoology, but I see all these different tabs on the left, which maybe you want, where kids would navigate by clicking through. They can also use their scroll wheel on their mouse to go through, or I'm sure there's other ways, but that's one way to do it. They could present here, jump into present mode out here like this. Shows full screen then. So let me show you the other way now. Go back to here. Okay, so let me go to that slideshow again. Let me open it up this time. And you can use whichever way you feel is more useful to your students. But if you want to have it present or show automatically in present mode, you can't do that just by inserting it in some specific way. You have to publish it to the web first. So you say File, Publish to the web, and I already have it published. Let me hit stop publishing for a second. Okay, so you say File, Publish to the web. You can leave all these settings alone. If you want to, you can change this to a longer time frame every 10 seconds. It won't auto advance unless the student hits play. But anyway, publish to the web, publish. Are you sure? Okay. And then just copy this link here. You can then go back to, get out of this. You go back to Schoology. So I've copied the link. Actually, let me go back here. File, publish to the web. I copied the wrong one. You want to grab the embed code. So go to embed and copy this link. All right, so you'll see iframe. That's part of an embed code. Whenever you see that, it's something you can embed in Schoology. All right, so I copied that code. Let me go back here. And now I'm going to add a page. So add a page. Volcanoes. And I can just click this button right here to go to HTML view and just paste in the code. One way to do it, the easier way. But normally what people do is they'll say insert content, image media, from the web, media. That gets you to where you can paste in the embed code. Paste it in, insert media, and then create. So now I have that presentation embedded on a page. Let's look at the difference here. When they go to the volcanoes here, it's automatically in present mode. All right, they don't see the options on the side, and they can then hit play. It'll go 10 seconds at a time. We set it to what normally what they would do is either just click. When they click anywhere, it just jumps to the next slide. They can navigate forward and backwards here. All right, and this it's the only way to get the slideshow to be in present mode when you put it in Schoology. All right. You do have the full screen option here if you do want to go full screen as well. All right, so there's Google Slides. Let's look at Google Forms now. If you want to get a Google form in Schoology that students can fill out within Schoology, how would you do that? Well, it's the exact same thing. Let me close this slide down. I'll open up a demo form. All right, so here's a sample form. And to get this form in Schoology, you just copy the embed code. That's under send. The arrows here it's the embed symbol. Click on that and then copy this embed code. Again, it's that iframe code. And then we'll go back to our course, add materials, just like you did for the volcano one for the slides, add page. And here you're going to say, again, insert content, image media, from the web, media, paste the embed code, insert media. There it is. Now it's a little bit narrow, so I would advise going to your settings here and changing this up to, it's a little bit, let me unconstrain those proportions. It's a bit tall. So I'll set this to 800 by 640. That tends to work pretty well in Schoology. And I'll insert that. So a little wider now. And I can create that. And you can put information up here as well, additional information you want for students. But I'll create that. And here now, if I click on that, you have the Google form right within Schoology for students to fill out. So students will see it the same way. All right. Now, there's no way to get the data from Google to automatically go into your the results to automatically go to your gradebook. You have to manually, enter that data in. But at least that's how you can get it, so they don't have to jump off to a separate page to do a Google form quiz. And if you wanted them to, let's say you're using a form to collect data for something, you could also, if you wanted to post the results, you could maybe at the top of this page put the link to the results. So if I go back to here, you have your responses. I can share that with with anyone with a link, or with FCPS, depending on who you want to be able to see the results, and then copy the link and put it into this page here. So I can edit this page and just right here paste the link to the results, or say results here. Highlight that, hit the link button, and put in the link to the results for the form. So maybe you're doing, again, some kind of lab, and or trying to get some data for something, for some statistics, assignment. The students can see all the results and then act on those results on their assignment. All right. So that's how to get different items into Schoology. Let me show you one more thing, or actually two more, before we get to Google Drive assignments. If I want to add a video, there are several ways to do it. And Kyle is actually going to have a webinar in at the end of July that covers how to do screen sharing and a lot more with video in Schoology. I'll just show you if you have something, a video in your Google Drive you want to add to Schoology, the easiest way to do it, or best way to do it. You can always add a link, same way we did earlier. Just share the video with anyone with a link, add materials, link, and just pop it in, pop that path in here, give it a title, and you can link in a video. I prefer to do it a different way where you can control it a little bit better, and that's again using a page. So add page, and let me go here to, I have a sample video here. Sorry, go back here. So I'll have a video, insert, Google Drive resource app, and I'll go here, sample video, and import embed. You could put the link in there, which would just be a simple link to the video, like I said, but import embed tends to work well because I can now adjust the size to whatever I want. So if I want to be again, 800 tends to be a good size for Schoology. Constraint proportions, insert. And I can also add now directions here. What do I want them to do with this video? So watch this video and then, whatever I want them to do. I can provide other information other than just the video if it's just a link. So if I create that, when they go to watch this video, it's right within Schoology. I have directions here, what I want them to do. They can watch the video right here, right within Schoology. All right. If you did insert a link, it might be a much smaller video. And so if I did insert link right here, add materials, add link, often that puts in a much smaller video, and you can't control the size of it nor the information that goes with it. So I prefer to use a page, but there's multiple ways to get that video in there. All right, the last thing before we get to Google Drive assignments is getting a link to Google Meet in here. So I could just do this, add materials, add link, and I put in, let me grab a code I have here rather than typing it. So the path is going to be Meet. So you need to have a named Meet so that students can't reuse the link later on without you. So the path is meet.google.com/lookup, and then the Meet name. So I was advising in one of the documents I wrote earlier when we started the whole distance learning a few months ago, was to use your school initials, then your name, and then I left it at that. But really, it would make more sense to also put some kind of code at the end. Maybe I would say, for me, I'd say, CO for central office, Heinze, and then I don't know, 1, 2, or maybe my few digits of my phone number or something, or something that I wouldn't forget. It doesn't matter, but something else other than just your name, because that way students can't just say, hey, I know everybody at FHS is using the path FHS with their last name, so I can then meet bomb any class I want just by typing in that path. But if you put something after that is unique to you, then nobody could meet bomb you. They'd have to go through a lot of guesses, and they would never get it right, unless a classmate shared it with them. But that really, wouldn't be too much of an issue, I wouldn't think. But anyway, by having some extra characters there in your Meet name, it prevents students from just randomly putting in your the common name that everybody else is using and getting right to your Meet. Anyway, so I add that, and now you have a link to Google Meet. You can click that and go right to that one. It'll oops, okay, can't do that, I forgot. You have to say on that link, do not show in Schoology, show in a new window. Now if I save that, all right, click on that, and it jumps out to a window. It creates that named Meet on the spot. So that's one way. The other way, I can edit that, and I should have put a title in here, Google Meet for our class. Then it would look like this instead. All right, the other way is to put it out here in the information area. So that way you don't have to have it taking up your materials area. You can have it out here. And to get that over there, it's course options, edit info, details, and you just paste the link to your Meet here. You can't make a hyperlink here, so I couldn't say Google Meet for our class and hyperlink it. You have to just put the path in directly there. But when you save that, that puts a permanent link to your Meet out here on the left. All right, so a couple options there for getting a Google Meet into your course. All right, so with that, we're going to spend the rest of the time on Google Drive assignments. And while it's very simple to do, I'm going to go into a lot of nitty-gritty details, some behind-the-scenes stuff, different issues and stuff. So we're going to get into it as deep as we can here. All right, so let me let's make a Google Drive assignment. So I'll do a 2-minute run through to keep it really simple, and then we'll jump into the nitty-gritty. So to do a Google Drive assignment, you say add assignment, and your directions here, right? And then I want to make a copy of a Google Doc for all students that they can then turn in. So same way Google Classroom works. So you click on Google Drive assignments, and let's say I want to distribute this document to all of my students. I'd say attach. This will create a copy of your file for each student. All right, I'm going to put a due date in, a point value, category, and then create. So there's my assignment. If I look at it, I have the assignment here. Here's the link to my original document. I have my in progress tab showing all the students and the progress they made in the document. Now the document doesn't get created until they open it. So you'll see this student has not opened the assignment yet until they do open it. And I'll show you that in a second. Then when they submit it, you'll see the submissions here. All right, let's look at the student view. So I have a student account here. One of my test students. Let me refresh this. Here's their Google Drive assignment. When they look at it, they'll see the directions, and then they get to their document by clicking My Document. It takes a second. It'll then create it off of my master copy. Any second now. There we go. All right, so there's the document. And they'll just fill it out, you know. And when they're done, they submit the assignment. Yes, submit. Done. And they're done with this. And if I go back to the teacher view, let me refresh this. All right, I see student 1 is no longer in progress. They're over on submissions. So I can go to submissions. There's a student submission. I can provide feedback either by doing, highlighting something and hitting the comment option to put a comment off to the right, like you do in a Google Doc. I can type in some text here. I make it red so that it stands out from what the student wrote, right? So I can provide feedback within the document. I can also then grade it here. I click on this grading option up top, and I can give it a grade, provide some feedback, share that feedback with the student, and save it. All right, and I've now graded that assignment. On the student side, if I refresh here, they then see their grade and their comments here. All right, that's the 2 minute, maybe there's 3 minutes nutshell version of how Google Assignments work. So it's very simple. On the student side, they just fill out the document. They click My Document, fill it out, and submit. So very easy for students to be able to submit these. My son's 2nd grade, and he had a bunch of these this year. Had no trouble doing them. So works well through most all grade levels. I guess maybe if you can't read yet, it's hard, but still, it's pretty simple on how this works. Now let's get into all the nitty gritty about it. So let me get to go back here. All right. So first thing is this. Let me open up the original document that I found from another teacher first. And so here's how the document started. So my first tip here is make sure your document is set up in a way that makes it easy for students to fill it out. So this one, you don't need name and date anymore on these because the name is automatically created on the student's copy. Their name automatically gets put on that. So you don't need name. The date's automatically built into Schoology, so you don't need a date either. So this doesn't need to be there. When you have just open spaces, it can often get a little bit messy and hard to tell what's your writing, what the student's writing. Also down below, the teacher had a table with if I'm trying to click down here to write, it's going up into the title area here, or the question area, I guess. So this isn't working. I'd have to go over here and hit enter to get to the spot where I can then, put in my response. So I would say, it's a good document overall, but it's not set up well for a digital submission. So show you the changes I made. Got rid of the name and date, and put text boxes, and not text boxes, they're just one-celled tables where the students can click and write their answer. Now it's very clear where their answer goes, very clear for you to see where their answer is. Down below, I made a separate box here in each cell for them to click in and put their answer directly in there, rather than having to worry about the question up top. All right. So just those little changes can make it a lot easier for the student to be able to use that document. So keep that in mind as you're creating your document. Make it easy for them to fill it out, and make it clear for them to read through. All right. So with that, let's catch up on where I am here. One of the things, some teachers will create just a blank doc that they have that they can just, if they want to quickly get something out for students to do some writing, they can just have a blank doc that gets submitted to everybody. So you don't need to have anything in there really if you have your directions written somewhere else. Another thing teachers do, I've seen over the last few months, is they'll have one document that lasts all week. So at the elementary level, they have an assignment called weekly writing activities. And within that document, they'll have all the different activities that the students need to do for the week. So they'll have an assignment for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, all in the same document. So they don't need to create 5 separate Google assignments. They create one assignment that has 5 different assignments in it, just on different pages of the Google Doc. So just another idea that might help you minimize the number of documents you need to look at if it's something that the students do daily or repeatedly throughout the week or a certain time frame. All right, and also I should mention, I showed a Google Doc. You can also distribute this way Google Sheets and slides and drawings. Those are the other options, other types of Google Docs you can distribute. All right, let's do this again now and get in some more detail. So I'm going to add another assignment. And Google Drive, assignment 2. All right, I'll put the same document in there. There we go. Attach that. Due date, point value. All right. And here I want to give students a video description of what I want them to do on this document. I give them some details, and I want to do it by video. So I can go to my recording tool. I click the recording tool, and I don't have a webcam here, so I can't do audio and video, but I'll just do audio only. Start recording, and I'll record some audio directions for the students. When I'm done, click stop and insert. And so here's my recording here. I might have some other type directions as well, or information, but there it is. And now I will create that. All right, here's a problem. So I open this up. Let me open up as a student. I guess I'll jump to the student view. Refresh this. So I open this up, and I can't play the video here. I have a download option, but we don't want students downloading a video in order to watch it. That's too, we want them to stay right in here and be able to see the video right here. So how do you do that? All right, so here's a little simple way to do it. Go in as a teacher, and this is just takes less than a minute to do. Download. I'll put this Little Red Riding Hood right on my desktop. Save. All right, now I'm going to go back and edit that. So I will go to edit this. Get rid of that attached video. Okay, and then I'm just going to say insert media, attach file, and there it is. Open it. There's a video now. I can change the size if I wanted to, but if it's just you talking, then they don't need to see a big view of your head. Probably a small view is fine. But I'll save this. All right, and now if the student goes to the assignment, let me refresh this. The video is right here for them to watch, right in the description area. They can hit play, and I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it was in my headset, I could hear it. But the video would play right here. So rather than leaving it as a download, I would advise doing that. It takes just a second. You download it, edit the assignment, and re-upload it. And much more useful for the student to be able to view that video. Certainly, if you did a screencast or some other tool, you didn't record it in Schoology, it would save to your desktop anyway, or so you could save it to your computer anyway, and then upload it into here. So you ultimately do the same idea. Record it in some other tool, download it to your computer, and then re-upload. So there's no advantage or speed difference one way or the other. But there's a simplicity of using that recording tool within Schoology. So I just want to show you that trick. All right. All right. So next thing here, if I go back to here, when you first create this assignment, I'm in the student view. 1 second, go back to the teacher view. There we go. Let me edit this. When you first create it, let's say I had multiple classes I wanted to copy this to. There's a copy button here. You can't copy once you have already saved it, so not from here anyway. But you would click this button, select the other course you wanted to copy to, and save. But since I've already created it, I have to do it out here instead. So I'll click out here, copy to course, and I'll copy that to this one here. No folder, give it a category, and copy it. And let me go to that course now to show you what just happened. Courses here. It'll be at the bottom where I just copied it to. There's that assignment. If I open that up, it's not a Google assignment. That file is no longer attached. So this is something we've asked Schoology to, what's one of our #1 priorities for Schoology to fix. They say it's very complicated, but something that they are, it's on their radar anyway. A lot of schools have asked for the same thing. So how do you resolve this then? Well, you'd have to edit the assignment, go to Google Drive Assignments, and then link in that document again, right? So find your doc, link it back in, and then save changes. So a little bit of a hassle there on that one. But if you copy it to another course, or if you copy it to resources, same thing happens. It loses the attached Google document. So one thing I would advise doing is when you have these, put the title. It might say like that, and put in exact title of your Google Docs, that if you ever do copy it off to resources or if that's really their main reason. If you copy it off to resources, you want to know what document did you actually use for that. If you just leave it in let's say you teach this course and you leave it in your archive, well, that file will always be there, so you'll always know what file it was. But when you copy it to resources, you'll then lose that link and not know what file was actually there. So if you use resources, I would advise doing this so you have the exact title of the document you used. You might even link this, excuse me. You might even link this to the document, so you have a direct link to it to make sure you're getting the right one. All right. So there's the issue with copying. Now I will mention that if you have linked courses, do I have a sample here? Yeah. So I have a sample of linked courses where I have two courses linked together. For example, I teach, let's say, 5 sections of Science 7, right? And you do the same thing all day long. You can link those classes all together, so you have one material list that's shared among all the courses. And if you do that, then then there's no need to copy the assignment from course to course. You just put it in once, and they all can access it, and that works fine. There's no problems with linked sections when using Google assignments. All right, let's do this now. Let me go back to, where am I here? I'll go back to this course, and I'll open this up. In progress, and let me go to student 1 now, and make sure I have the right. There we go. So again, this document has not been created yet. It's not there until the student clicks My Document. At this point, it gets created. And in a second, now I want to talk about ownership for a second. So in Schoology, the teacher is always the owner. Let me refresh this. So now the student has opened it, I can see the document. Hasn't done anything there yet, but I see that he has at least opened the document. But ownership, the teacher owns all documents in Schoology, or all Google documents that are used this way. The student is right now an editor. When they submit it, when the student submits it, they become a commenter. So that's the only difference in sharing. It's a sharing permission change on just the student only. In Google Classroom, it changed ownership as well. When the student was working on it, they were the owner, teacher was an editor, and when the student turned it in, it became teacher is the owner, student is a viewer. It doesn't work the same way here. This way, the teacher always owns it. And I'll show you where you find that in a minute. Since the student is always shared in the document, they'll always find it and shared with me. But I'll get to this to where the teacher finds it in a second. And I guess let's do that now. So if I go to my Google Drive, where am I going to find this student's copy in my Google Drive? If I go here, as soon as you create a Google Drive assignment in any of your courses, you'll have a folder called Schoology Google Drive Assignments. And here's all the courses I've ever done a Google Drive assignment in. And where's the one I have here is Sandbox Google Training. So if I go into that, I should have cleaned this out, but this is from me testing earlier. But here's the assignment. So I click on that. There is student one's assignment, and the others will appear as they open it. All right. So I can go to here to get that assignment. If Schoology went down, students all turn in their work and somehow Schoology is down, but I want to be able to look at those assignments, I could go right to here and open them directly from my Google Drive instead. All right. Okay, let's go back to Schoology. And let's do this. I'm going to split screen here. So I have the teacher view on the left, student view on the right. So I'm in student one here. So student's going to work on the assignment. They're clicking down here and place. So, all right, so you can see that you're seeing a live view of what the student is doing as a teacher. So let's say you finish that one, and they have not turned it in yet, but I want to give them some feedback. I could highlight here or highlight this and say, insert a comment and say, sentences, provide a comment there. And the student will then see if, I have to scroll over in this case, but the student would see that comment out here. Now, often I'm on split screen, so it's very narrow. Normally, or what students often do is they'll open it up into full screen so they can see it, much bigger view. But I will leave this in split screen for now so you can see what's happening. So you can provide feedback while the student is working on it. The student will get that feedback and can act on it before they turn it in. So, good way to have students learn while they're working rather than getting it all after the fact, right? All right. Make sure I'm covering what I wanted to. Okay, so let's say here now the student oh, I had it backwards, didn't I? I have the teacher on the right, student on the left. Anyway, so I was doing it backwards. The student's on this side, but same idea either way. So the student submits the assignment. Yes, submit when they're done. And then they realize, oops, I wasn't done. I need to correct this answer. The due date hasn't passed yet. It has not been graded. As long as those two conditions are in place, the student can unsubmit themselves and do more work on the assignment. All right, and when they're done, they add, oops, I forgot to put this in here. So add and then submit again. And so they can keep on doing that until either I've graded it or the due date is passed. I'm going to go back full screen here now. All right, so let me refresh here. The student has submitted. And at this point, I want to provide feedback to the student. So I told you earlier about putting comments in, about typing right in the document. If I go up here to put a grade in, I'll put a 7 out of 10, let's say. Provide some feedback. Share that with a student. There's no way to have this checked by default. You always have to check it. I'll save this. Now I realize maybe I want to wipe that grade out. So I come up here and I get rid of that grade. Maybe there's some reason I didn't want to put the grade in yet. I'll save that. And I'll erase it again, and I'll save it. And you can't erase it here. You can go to your gradebook to erase it, but you can't erase a grade from it. I can change it and make it an 8, save it. That works fine, but I can't wipe it out. Kind of odd, but you can't do that. It just leaves it there. A little quick workaround for that, rather than going out to your gradebook and clearing it there, that will, like I said, clear it here as well. You can just put an exception code in temporarily. Exception, I'll say incomplete, save, yes, and then put it back to none, save, and now it's wiped out. Now it's blanked out again. So a little workaround for a little odd thing where you can't wipe out a grade from within the screen, but that does allow you to do it by putting exception code in temporarily and taking it right back out. All right, now I want to show you a couple issues that students might experience, and it's going to be on your end, really. Let's take a look at this here. I'm going to, right now, remember when I first showed you about the 2 different connections to Google? One is the Google Drive assignments, one's the Schoology assignments. You have to say allow to get your Google Drive assignments first set up. Well, if I want to disconnect myself, I'm going to come out here to my Google Drive, go to my settings, go to settings here, and then manage apps. And this is something you ought to check once in a while anyway. These are all the apps that have access to your Google Drive. So if you've been playing around over the years and have different things in there that you no longer use, good idea to, audio cutter. If I don't need it anymore, just disconnect that from Drive. That will get rid of all the permissions that it has to do things in my Google Drive. So good idea to disconnect those you don't use. I'm going to go down to find Schoology here. And there it is right there. I'm going to disconnect it. Disconnect. So I just disconnected the Schoology Google Drive. I'm sorry, I disconnected the Google Drive assignments connection in Schoology. So watch what happens now. So I want to refresh this to see what happens. And nothing happened. Might take a second. We go to the student side. Let me go to the student view here. Let me go back to here. Go back to this assignment, click on my document, and I get this. We had some trouble opening your document. Try again by reloading the page. I'll reload. It's not going to make a difference. If I get that red message, I'm not going to be able to get to it. Let me go to a new student. I'm going to go to student 2, who's also in the class. And student 2 will see something a little different. We couldn't load your document because there's a problem with your instructor's account. Please ask your instructor to reconnect their account to Schoology. So let me go back to the teacher view again. And let me go back here, see if this works now. Go back into the assignment. In progress. Access denied. That's not good. Submissions. I get this error now. Failed to retrieve email for current user. So we've had this happen numerous times. We've gotten emails about how do I resolve this. It's all in the handout, the troubleshooting guide. But here's what really I think causes this. A teacher's on a home computer and they accidentally, maybe they haven't yet used that computer before, and they connect they're logged into their, I say they haven't used that computer for work, let's say, or they haven't set up their Chrome account on that computer. So they go in and they connect their personal Google Drive to Schoology. And then this suddenly will happen. So how do they fix that? Well, for a teacher, 2 ways. One is click here and you say, I'm not connected. There's no log out option here. So I'm not connected. Hit connect and you'll have that connected. If you're not in an assignment yet, if I'm just in my materials list, I can say add materials, add assignment, click Google Drive assignments, and it's going to say you need to connect. So once you connect, so this is a teacher error, not a student error. They're going to get the error, but you're going to be the one who has to fix it. Hit allow, and now everything is happy again. If I go back to the to the student view. See if I just refresh here. There we go. Now it's going to create that assignment. It takes a second, but now it created it. So that's a view of of what those errors look like and how to resolve that. Oops, reload. There we go. All right. Let me move through my agenda. What else? See what I missed here. I'm sure I missed a few things I wanted to cover. Yeah. Okay. So next one is let me go out of student 2 here to clean things up a bit. So I'm in student 1 here now, and you want to do a group assignment. So how could you make that work? How could I have a group assignment? I would use, so I want maybe 5 students to get together to work on a common document. I only want to grade 5 docs, and I have to grade something from everybody. So what you could do is distribute this assignment just like you did, and then students can. The share button is not possible. I can't click share here. So how do they share with other students? Well, if they pop it out, let me unsubmit first. There we go. All right, I still can't share, but if they pop it out full screen, and students do that with the edit button. Okay, now share is possible. I can click on that, and I can add, student test 3. There we go. So I've added that. I could add student test 4. I could add as many students as I want. I'm not going to send a message right now, but I can share it with them. And now student test 3, if I go to student test 3's account, they're not going to see it in Schoology anywhere, right? That was a Google sharing that I did, not a Schoology sharing. So they would go to their Google Drive, and there's that doc right there that was just shared with them. They'll see it They'll see it either on quick access, if it was just shared now, or they'll see it shared with me, and they can then open that document up to be able to work with student 1 on the document now. What I might do as a student is this. I might copy this link. All right, I just copied that link to the document. I'll go to that assignment, to my document there. Now the teacher doesn't want this copy because they want just from student 1, but I might just do this here. Maybe as a teacher, I might put a little box up top that said, teammates, right? And I might just paste that link there. Right, so now for me within Schoology, I can get to that doc without having to go find it in my Google Drive. So, so I'm here. I go to that assignment as student 3. I click that link, and I'm off to the document that I need to work on. All right. And as the team leader, would probably want to use that box up top I showed for teammates to list all their teammates for the teacher's reference to see who they worked with. So. Anyway, group work can be done by just having the students share their document with the students that are going to be working with them. And then you can manage as well how you want them to list their teammates. If you see, like, for example, this link, that the student was working with someone else. But just some ideas on how to do group work there. All right, let's see. Oh, so I have not opened student 4 yet. So let's say, it's my last test student. I made this assignment, and I realize here in the student view, let me go back to the teacher view. So I made this assignment. I just posted it, and I realize, oops, I have some things wrong in this document. I want to correct this document. So you can click on it right here, make some edits. I wanted to put a teammates box up here. Insert a single cell table. All right, so I wanted that to be in the document, so I can get out of it now. So that's been changed. So let me go to student, anyway, I'll go back to student 3, my document. Well, it's not there. What I just typed is not there because the student already created the document, right? But if I go to student 4, it's my last test student here. And I go to my document, it's creating it from that template. So there's that teammates box that I just added. So you can change your document once you post it. However, if a student has already opened it, they won't get the updates. Only the students who haven't opened it yet, will get those updates because it'll always base their copy off the current template. All right. So if you post something, want to change it, most likely there's some student who's opened it already, but you can change it and try to do so before most students get in. All right. I talked about doc ownership, doc location. All right. So I want to talk about how to deal with, let me go back to the teacher view. Here we go. Let's say you have, in your school, you're going to have advisors. Your principal is a Schoology advisor. All your guidance counselors are advisors. Your assistant principals, your special ed teachers are all advisors. Advisors have the ability to look into your class. And so, they can come here and look at your materials. They can look at your grade book and other things. And they need that access. Guidance counselors need to be able to get into your class to look at things at times. So does special ed. So what you want to do, if an advisor goes to a Google Drive assignment, though, they're not shared on the document. The sharing initially is just you and the students, so they won't be able to see the students' work. So a way to handle that is to go to your Google Drive, and on your Google Drive assignments folder, right? This is Google Drive assignments. That's where every course, every assignment is, and all students' work are located. Share that with anyone in FCPS with a link can view it. That way, every advisor will be able to see all the students' work without having to ask you, can you share that with me? You do that, then just leave it as view rights. They can view anything that students have done. All right. Now, for co-teachers, you work with a co-teacher, or you have a special ed teacher in your class who needs to modify your assignments, due to IEP requirements for a student. So they would need edit access to that document, so they can get into the student's version. Once he creates it, get the student's version and edit a few things there for the student to have to, for their accommodations. Or they maybe need to make an assignment themselves for that student that the student would do. So in order for them to have that access, you would need to go to the folder where that co-teacher or special ed teacher is helping you. And I'll hit the sharing on that. In this case, you want to add that person specifically. So I'll add Kyle, let's say. All right. And here I want to make him an editor. All right. Not a viewer, but an editor. And that way he can get in there and not only modify my assignments, but also grade them, provide feedback to the students, right? So that's how you would add a co-teacher to give them rights to modify your work. I'll cancel that for now. Now, another important thing here, and I just lost the thought. Oh, yeah. Let me get done with this. So back in Schoology, let's say I'm going to make, let's say the co-teacher posts an assignment. So you have someone else you work with, and they post an assignment here. Since they posted the assignment, you will not have edit access to the document. Whoever posts it has edit rights. Even though you're the owner of the class, that teacher posted it. So they will be the editor of that document, or the owner of that document, owner editor, and students will be the editors initially. You will have no rights to it, view rights, as long as the teacher shared their Google Drive assignments folder with everybody with a link, or everyone at FCPS with a link, you'll have view rights. But if they didn't, you'd have no access to see that document. So the co-teachers need to share their Google Drive folders with you as well. They would need to share this one with anyone in FCPS with a link, and this one with you specifically. So you each need to do that for each other in order to be able to see each other's work. Also, let's say the co-teacher posts an assignment, but it's your document. They post your document, right? Maybe it's in Google Drive, you share that document with them, so you're both working on it. They post it. Even though it's your document, you would not have edit rights to the student's work. The poster, whoever posts the document, not the owner of the document, whoever posts the document for the students is the one who becomes the owner of the student's work. So who owns the document in Google doesn't matter. It's who created the assignment that matters on ownership of the student's documents. So just be sure that with the co-teachers, you share this folder with each other with edit rights. You'll each have a separate one. And the co-teacher won't have this folder unless they have created an assignment, a Google Drive assignment in your class. All right. I mentioned earlier that students cannot unsubmit. Let me get out of, I have so many students open here. I mentioned earlier that students cannot unsubmit once they can submit. Yes, submit. They have unsubmit here, right? If I go, okay, I've been doing a lot of changes there, so little odd things are happening. But if I go to that assignment now, and submissions, I put a grade in again. So 9 out of 10, save. Go back to the student view and refresh. They can no longer unsubmit. Once a grade is in, they lose that ability to unsubmit. So if you need the student to do more work on it, let's make it a little more realistic here. Maybe I give the student they did a poor job. Maybe I'll give them a 6 out of 10. All right. So the student, refresh here, they see that 6 out of 10, but I want them to redo it. I want them to, put in complete sentences here and do the other things they need to do to get a better grade here. So even though they can't unsubmit, the teacher can. So go back here and I can unsubmit as a teacher. Now there's no unsubmit all. That actually is something that I heard that Schoology is going to add. But right now there's no unsubmit all, but you can unsubmit one by one. So I unsubmit this as a teacher, it goes back into my in progress area now. The student, when they go back, if I refresh as a student, I don't see the grade anymore. There is a grade on it. I see it on my grade screen as a student, but I wouldn't see it in the document anymore. And I can then redo it. So here's what I want to point out on this. I got this question a bunch of times over the last couple months. So student, adds complete sentences here, make some changes. Woods, they say, okay, I got that taken care of. All right, and they submit it again. Yes, submit. All right, back as the on the teacher side, I see one resubmitted assignment. All right, so I'll go there. There it is again, resubmitted. Submissions. All right, I took a look at it. I didn't do anything yet. I got sidetracked and did something else. I went somewhere else, and then if I go back here, it's gone. That resubmitted is gone, right? But I need to find who was that student who resubmitted. I need to up their grade or review their work and maybe change their grade. How do I find it now? Well, if you go to the grade book, and I say view, here you see a little number there. So I do have something in my gradebook that was graded with a new submission. If I click on that, it highlights it in my gradebook. There it is highlighted. Okay, it'll stay highlighted until I change the grade. If the student still gets a 6, it'll still just show that highlighted cell. So if I review it, maybe I go to this student's document. I take a look here. I say, okay, you did a good job. I'm going to give you a 9 now and save that. All right. Now if I go back to my grade book and say view, there's no more, graded with new submission. So this graded with new submission allows you to find those items that you know, you maybe click on that, and if you see any numbers here on the right, you know, those are marked missing with submission. So maybe you mark something with the missing code, and then they submit it after the fact. You can see that in your gradebook as well. So these settings come in handy to find things that seem a little bit lost in Schoology at times. All right, I think that's all I had. Oh, I have one more. Let me just run through my. I did want to mention this when you're grading. Another common problem is that I have 35 students in the class, and I have to scroll down through this list to find each student in order to see the document on the right. It's kind of a hassle. Schoology knows that, and they're working on a new type of screen here. But for now, what you can do, and this works well, is just change this to ones who need grading. If you do that, then just the ones that need grading are here. You won't see all the other ones, and you won't need to scroll. So needs grading is a way to get rid of that scrolling issue. I should mention that rubrics work really well in Schoology. You would see a little grid here, click the grid, and then you would see your rubric where you just click on the different scores for the student. I'm not going to show that here today, but that works really well. I want to find out when this student submitted this document. When did they submit this? Well, a couple ways you can look at that. And I also want to see if the student cheated. Maybe they copied all their answers from someone else. So I want to look at some of the back end stuff for this document. Let me open it up full screen. And how do I know when they submitted it? Well, I can see last edit was made, but in this case, once I put a comment there, that would now be me though, instead of the student. So this isn't reliable. But if I go to Tools, Activity Dashboard, and then Sharing History, you remember the permission changes from can edit to can comment when they submit it. So the most recent version, the most recent one that I've gone back and forth with is submitting it and unsubmitting it, but the most recent one would be when they submitted it. Since I'm the owner, Google says that I change permissions. Even though the student submitted it, it says you change permissions. But when you see this last one, student test 1 can comment, that's the time when they submitted it right there, 10/10 today. All right. So that's one thing. The other thing is I want to see, how did they actually work on this document, or did I see like paste all at once? There's information there with no work in progress really. Go to File, Version History, see Version History, and I can see, by opening this up, at first, all this was added to the document. That's when the student created it. It says me because I am, the script says that I create the document for the student, even though they click on it. All right. And then I had it backwards because I didn't realize what screen I was on earlier, but I typed in this and then student typed in that. And then here's the latest version. You can see what the student did. The color code, this is purple here. I see the purple here, so I can tell who did what in the document. I see the student worked on it in increments. I'm not seeing just things pasted all at once in the document. If you see that, you see this suddenly appears all at once, all at once, all at once. Most likely it was copy pasted from someone else's document. All right, so a little way to help look for cheating there. And yeah, that's okay. So that's all with Google assignments. Last thing is this, and we'll be done. So I'm going to go back here. Oops, didn't want to do that. But last thing is, let's say I do an assignment. And I'll just put a due date here. Let's create that. So let's say I get an assignment where students can create whatever they want. They can create a Google on their own, create a slideshow or a document or whatever else. I want them to turn that in. So let's go. So I created this document. I just created an assignment that's a holder or a place for students to turn in the work that they did on their own. All right, things that they created on their own. So I'll go to the student view back here. And student would open that up, and they'll see this submit assignment on the right. So let's say if I go to that student's Google Drive, that this is the document that they created, right? How do they turn this into you? This is not distributed to them. This is something that they created on their own. So what they would do first, obviously, is they have to share it with you. So they would go here, add you as in the sharing. Don't need to notify you, and share. Oops, I should have copied that link. Let me do that real quick here. Get shareable link. Copy the link. And then what they would do is back here, they say submit assignment, go to the create tab, and then just paste that link there. Right? Or they could say, my document and link that text to their document. But either way, they need a link to their document in there. Submit that. And that's how they would submit work that they do on their own. Now on your side, as the teacher, if I refresh this, I'll see student 1 has a submission. Click on that. And here I have a link then to their doc to open up that document and see their sample document. All right. So that's how if students did any work on their own in Google, they could turn in that work. And with that, we're done with this webinar.